Welcome back to Soccer Card United's episode 274 of the greatest soccer card podcast in the world. My name is Jason. That's Enzo. Hello, Enzo. What's on the show today?
Hello, Jason. Today, Topps Chrome news, some Champions League, some more details on the Fanatics London flagship store, and Panini in a race against time.
Oh, dramatic. Let's hear that music. Okay, so this is actually not a huge item, but this was pointed out by a couple of people, including Liam over on the platform formerly known as Twitter, and that is 24-25 Topps Chrome UEFA Club Competitions pre-order. According to this Topps UK webpage, says the pre-order will be on April 15th.
Which means we can probably assume mid-April will be the expected release date for that, because it tends to be a month later from their kind of pre-orders. Yeah, mid-May, sorry. Yes.
Yeah, so the rest of the page is still all about 23-24. I'm not going to pretend that I didn't take a long time looking at these cards and thinking to myself, I'm pretty sure that's last year's design before I realized what was happening on the webpage. But yeah, so we're looking at maybe, hopefully, May release date for Champions League Chrome, which would be amazing.
Yeah, it would be fantastic. Listen, if it was April, it would have been amazing. The Champions League final is it May? Is that right?
Generally, it's like last weekend or in May or first weekend in June.
So yeah, not the worst. I mean, definitely an improvement, right? And much improved from last year, which is great. So yeah, I'm happy to see this.
I think basically we were talking about like when flagship came out early, how would that affect things? And I think based on how flagship's been received and how popular it's been in the months since it came out before Christmas, I would say any time from now they could release Chrome and it would feel like that was a good break.
Yeah, I mean, in an ideal world, February, March, Chrome comes out, right? Especially if you're releasing flagship in December.
Yeah.
I would like to criticize and say they've produced so many unlicensed basketball, unlicensed football. It's kind of like, did that take precedence over Champions League Chrome? And if so, don't do that, please. Yeah. But I don't hate it because it is an improvement. So I'm just kind of happy to see flagship, of course, had such a long lifespan in with kind of being in line with the actual season that I love it.
Yeah.
I would have loved Chrome a little bit earlier, but I think it's good signs for next year.
Yeah, I think we'll take as a starting point getting it out during the competition.
Yeah, definitely an improvement.
And then speaking of timing, over in PaniniAmerica.net, they has appeared this 2024-25 Panini Impeccable Premier League box coming soon. Obviously, Panini lose the Premier League license this summer. And just for context, the 23-24 Impeccable release date was November 2024. So that was 6 months after the season finished.
Yeah, and recently. It feels like it was only yesterday.
Yeah.
That came out.
So that we're going to have that. You're going to have your standard, 4 autographs, a metal card, a parallel base card. And actually, Impeccable is one of those ones that if you take away the price tag and you don't really expect that much of the cards, they are, I think they're quite good. Yeah. But for the price, they're slightly difficult too.
Very tough. They're breaker only if you want to get value out of hitting a card in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, beautiful. To be honest, I think the license swaps over in July, I believe, just ahead of the new season, the 25-26 season. Is that right? Yeah. So this is going to be out, sometime prior to that, obviously, and I think that's why we're seeing it. We're kind of hoping, Jason, we're hoping that Panini go out on their Premier League. I mean, again, these cards look amazing. The players on them, obviously, are limited by the league. I don't see anything here that puts my jaw on the floor. However, I'm really hoping that the checklist or the hit rate are kind of on fire in this, because I do think they exited the WWE scene on a big high with their, releasing Flawless for that just before they left, and some national treasures. Like, they really gave some heavy hitters towards the end of WWE.
Yeah.
Which you'd be forgiven for forgetting about, because Topps promoted Topps Chrome so well and there was so much hype for that. But like, just before the license switched hand, there was some incredible sets that came out. So I'm kind of hoping this Premier League Select as well, which is kind of up in the air, are juiced to the gills to kind of go out on a high. Because ultimately, if you have a lot of autographs and if you have a lot of stuff, why not use them? But again, on the flip side of that, you could see, we have a lot of Danny Drinkwater autographs. Why not use them? Let's up that print run. So it's hard to know what way they're going to go. I'm kind of hoping they go out on a positive high. But there is a lot of caution going into these sets as well, because ultimately, I assume the Premier League, maybe the Premier League license is not a super long-term license. So again, they may hold it and think when we get the Premier League again, we get to put more Beckhams in again and whatever. I'm not really sure. But I'm very interested to see how the Premier League sets come, because they're the last of their kind for now.
If they provided us with like some sort of like surprise blockbuster, as you say, a National Treasures or Flawless or something, it would be amazing. I would love if they just released a product that were like kind of just like a mic drop, kind of like, there you go, beat that over the next 5 years. You won't be able to, you know.
Good luck, yeah.
But I think we may be slightly hoping against hope. I don't really see that happening, but if it did, it would be incredible. You know, but you still got hits in here, like that's a triple auto, Foden, Haaland, Grealish. Tyler Dibbling it's funny because I did like look at Tyler Dibbling for Southampton, who are obviously having a terrible season, but he's been kind of a bright spark for them. And I feel like Topps are better, or it depends how you look at it, better or worse at promoting. Like if Tyler Dibbling was getting smashed every week with Southampton, but was playing really well, I feel like Topps would be promoting him more as a kind of hot rookie. He would be in kind of like, you know, he's making an impact, or he's a young star, or whatever these subsets are. Whereas Panini, I feel like they've always just let the rookies be a little bit lackluster. Whereas I feel like Topps, when they're given a lackluster rookie class, they're like, we don't care. We're still promoting it as if. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, someone on Twitter, I don't know if you've seen this, Jason, they pointed out that the back of the pack on Topps Series 1 still says, like, Topps does not suggest that any cards will gain future value or something. And they quoted on Twitter saying, like, ever since Fanatics took over, they've done a lot of posting about how much cards are worth and what the potential future value is. So it's a bit crazy and a bit contradictory to kind of have that there. Like, when they're social... Yeah, that has always said that on Topps packets, and I think it still does to this day. But when you look at their Instagram, it's very much like, this Paul Skeens could be worth $2 billion. And it's like, hold on a minute, that kind of goes against what the pack says.
Yeah, because I mean, somebody told me recently, I can't remember who it was, but somebody told me recently, explained a lot of the stuff about like, you know, why there's so many terms and conditions on the back of packs and all that thing, because at various other points in trading cards history, when there has been a boom, people have raised objections over, is this gambling? Is this a raffle? Is this a lottery, etc.? And so the manufacturers basically took like legal advice and said, right, if we put all this stuff on the back, then everybody knows what's going on, but we're not saying what's going on. And it does feel like maybe that's what I'm noticing, is that Panini have more or less kept playing by those rules, whereas it does feel like Topps post Fanatics.
Part of the marketing to get that mass appeal is classic, which we've always seen it, is like, you're trying to explain to people that you can make loads of money if you hit the right thing, but at the same time that kind of goes against everything else in the industry.
Yeah,
kind of,
and we know this ourselves.
The elephant in the room.
It's the elephant in the room, and it is always the easiest, and it is always the most exciting, and it is always the sexiest aspect of the industry to sell, is the lottery card aspect. But you end up, I would say, that's a pretty kind of like, you burn through potential customers that way. If you kind of explain it from a collecting point of view, you will get fewer people to give it a go. But the people that you do get will hang around. Whereas like if you kind of go like, it's you could get a Paul Skeens and it's, you know, going to change your life and you can buy a boat. A lot of people will try that, but then most of them will never come back. Whereas Panini is still kind of chugging away on the old like complete your set, you know, situation.
Get involved.
Yeah, I'm sad to be seeing the disappearance of the troy ounce of gold and the troy ounce of silver that for some reason are still in Impeccable. Is anybody chasing these? Have you ever seen anyone put a set of these together?
I don't know. I've often seen people say, I hate this. A card show, someone will come up and go like, now this troy ounce is actually worth 20 quid. So like, I can't, as if it's like, yeah, it's worth 20 quid. What are you going to do? Take it out, melt it down, bring it
down to the gold merchants if you want to. Like,
yeah, what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's unique. It is what it is. But I think it's kind of, that represents to me kind of how Panini ended up kind of going, what do we do with this Premier League license? Like, how do we actually do anything here? It was very confusing. But it's kind of crazy that you have your Troy Elms goal, but you don't necessarily have like the Premier League logo as a patch in a card, you know?
Yes. Yeah. Like you get, because it's that thing of like, they can control the goal, but they've just never been. This is maybe like
Panini historically have always been able to control the goal.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they're sitting on a mountain of it over there in Italy. But it does feel like if I'm being hopeful, if I'm being sort of optimistic for the Fanatics take over the Premier League license, at least Fanatics have a much bigger imprint and infrastructure on the ground in England where the league is. Whereas Panini America have always been running the hobby side. And although Panini, you know, their sticker publishing or whatever, have a presence in in the US or in the UK, it's always felt like the Premier League license from the hobby side was being run remotely. And I'm glad that Fanatics, when we know some people in product development on the Premier League team, in Fanatics, and they're in England, which, I mean, it sounds like a ridiculous thing to give them points for, but like, I actually do think it's important to be running the league license from somewhere near where the league is happening, because it does make getting, you know, autographs, patches, etc. easier. I suppose it must.
Yep, 10 out of 10 checks out. Especially even like if we get to see some form of Premier League event style thing like we had in like the Real Sociedad product and stuff like that, the BVB products, the Bayern product as well.
Yeah,
you'd imagine that could come to the Premier League, because again, they're in London, they can actually arrange it and organize it.
Yeah. So watch the space. In the meantime, there is Panini Impeccable. Yeah. Again, I like Impeccable, but I just kind of have slight PTSD from the one time I opened a box on YouTube and really enjoyed it and was really positive about it. And then everybody was like, that costs €900. You're an absolute liar and all this stuff. Because I was like just having a good time, because I was just opening it purely for the purposes of opening it for YouTube. And then people were like, no. And I was like, I also paid anyway, it doesn't matter.
Speaking of wanting to open something purely for the joy of YouTube,
woof,
look at this. Landed in today, Jason.
Yes, the Angel's holding for the listener.
125 anniversary ultra premium, I'm going to call it, set, and I'm very excited about it. I don't have my classic YouTube setup. I do want to get it on YouTube, Jason, but I might have to like sacrifice everything else in order to do it, if you know what I mean. My current YouTube opening space is out of bounds. But I do like the idea of opening it kind of now, because I feel like it just arrived in hand today around the place, and it could be first to YouTube market, Jason, but I don't know if I have it in me because of my setup.
Well, I mean, listen, you could always open it on Instagram for the people over there. They would love that.
They love us. They love chatting to us on but then it's such a long box. How do you do that on, do you know what I mean? Like, that's awkward to do on Instagram. Hey, what kind of angle? I'll think about it. I might, across the room. I might do Instagram. Although you lose that YouTube phone, I think people will allow for.
They'll go with you on that one. Right. So let's take a break and come back to talk more Fanatics after this. Okay, Enzo, from the Topps Ripped website, which is a fountain of knowledge about the hobby. I don't know if you saw this. There was an interesting piece inside Fanatics Collectibles' groundbreaking new London store, and which obviously, you know, they're writing that about themselves, but we understand that. This is an interview of the head of retail for Fanatics Collectibles, who is Simon Rosenberg. He is the man charged with getting this physical retail location, this flagship store, this, you know, mothership of Fanatics landing into London. So yeah, if you would like to hear some stuff about that, I can tell you. It's worth going through, I think, in detail. So I'll read you some, and then we can talk kind of paragraph by paragraph. With an ambitious vision and aggressive timeline, Fanatics Collectibles is preparing to launch what could be the most innovative trading card store in the world. Jeff Wilson's ears are burning.
Die.
Located in one of the most prominent locations on Regent Street, London, this store aims to be more than just a place to buy collectibles. It's a hub for the trading card community. We spoke with Simon Rosenberg, a key figure behind the project, to understand what makes this store special and what collectors can expect. So this is a key thing I always notice in not just Fanatics, but you know, from ourselves to everybody. Everything always has to be, it's this, but it's much more than this. It can never just be what it is. It has to be, but it's so much more. Right.
In that photo there, Jason, I think I see the Pat Padash Mickey Mouse.
Yes, I see that. I see is that the wrestler Cody Rhodes?
That's right. Yeah, you're bang on. I don't know what's in the middle of that, but or maybe it's all the licenses.
The league and team licenses. So we're at 5462 Regent Street, for anyone familiar with the area. According to Rosenberg, this store is being established as, quote, a beacon for the hobby, providing a dedicated space for collectors, fans, and newcomers to engage with the trading card world. He says, it's a place where international fans of all sports and interests, as well as the community, can discover, be surprised, delighted, and have a place to visit, hang out, and rip packs. He emphasizes that modern retail needs to go beyond simple transactions. Retail is gasping for new opportunities, he says, highlighting the store's role in encouraging education, engagement, and community building. Again, I think we talked about this before, but like, I'm slightly surprised and slightly annoyed by the emphasis on hanging out in the Fanatics store.
Why are you annoyed?
I just don't think. I really think that's the job of local card stores. I you know, like, I
But
don't
that
know.
is like that is a giant local card store, Jason.
But it isn't a, to me, local card store, it should be independently owned. I just, that's just, I get, like, they're filling a void, and obviously, like, they're saying there's the community who are going to come and hang out and chat and rip packs, and then there's people who are going to come in, discover the hobby and buy. I get that. And I actually, if they didn't have any element of the community building, of course I'd be sitting here going like, and by the way, why can you not hang out? So, there is that element, but just I don't know. What can collectors expect and experience in store? So, several key attractions mentioned by Rosenberg here. One, the central ring display. This area will house some of the rarest and most iconic cards displayed in a way that's visually stunning and exciting for collectors.
A kind of card museum.
Kind of, yeah. The Breaker Studio, a space for live streaming and content creation, feature Fanatics Live's top breakers sharing their expertise with the world. And the custom card creation room. Visitors can design their own personalized trading cards using professional grade technology. Now, that is a hit. We've done that with PSA at the National. People have done that with Topps at the Dublin Card Show. Love to create your own cards.
That's a big win. People love it.
Yeah. I'm interested in the Breaker Studio. Is it going to be open? I think in the pictures I've seen, it's like a kind of open plan, and it's not kind of like in its own. Yeah, because if you walk around the National tonight, you see like there's kind of temporary, kind of clear boxes built, and people are inside them opening stuff. And then there's sometimes people are just kind of on the floor.
This is an on the floor job. It's kind of like when there's kind of live breaks happening at the National, they're actually engaging with you, like at the Whatnot booth or something. They're actually kind of open plan as well.
Yeah.
I think that'll be interesting to see how that goes.
It'll be definitely interesting because you're on Regent Street, so like you are kind of going to have, there are kind of like busloads of Japanese tourists walking around taking photos of everything, who don't know what the hobby is. When they might, but
Shoyo Tani, they definitely do, by the way.
To see who's kind of like wandering into frame. Or, yeah.
That'll be, listen, I'm excited to go over and see it when it opens.
Well, they mentioned international collectors. That's you.
That's me.
Okay, so community is a fundamental pillar of this store's design. So he explains that achieve this through education, interactive touchscreens, knowledgeable team members, and clear on-shelf displays. Regular events, hobby nights, trade nights, rip nights, product launches, and athlete appearances will ensure there's always something happening. I do think athlete appearances could be like a real
grower.
Yeah, a real driver of growth and a real driver of interest, because they're just not really that common.
Yeah.
And live breaking and social engagement. The store will feature regular live pack openings and sports broadcasts, making it a hub for real-time excitement. Sports broadcasts?
Maybe like
Monday Night Football live from the...
Maybe. Or maybe like, what's the overlap, is it? The overlap?
Yeah, the overlap. Yeah. Roy Keane in there.
Oof. Roy Keane in there chatting.
Okay, how does this store differ from traditional hobby shops? Fanatics is bringing a European finesse to what is traditionally an American model. Oof. In the US, trading card stores are highly independent. So that's what I mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. With varied ways of working. We're setting a precedent for what best in class looks like. He emphasizes that this store will be a combination of cutting edge technology and engaging environment and knowledgeable team, all set in one of the world's most iconic retail locations. It's a level of execution that will be difficult for others to match, he adds.
Yeah, you don't have billions. Very hard to match.
I guess if you, unlimited budget and all that, I suppose. Yeah. But that's interesting. We think we talked about this before as well, that like they're saying hobby stores are already in America, and if we start going in near them in their kind of area, they'll start going out of business compared to us, and we can't do that. That's not a good look.
Yeah,
because they're also our customers. But we can do
start it in Europe, and then if it's really working, we can then take it to the States and go, look, we're doing what we did in Europe. It's not your fault that you don't have an unlimited budget, unfortunately.
Yeah, you're not up to scratch.
You're not willing to spend the unlimited budget you do have. How about that?
Wow.
That's right.
I don't think there's a lot of local hobby shop owners around the States with unlimited budgets. Okay, people may find this interesting. They have confirmed here that they're going to be stocking TCGs.
Okay.
So it's not going to be in that case, I guess it's not going to be Topps exclusive.
Shop.
Yeah. There will be memorabilia. There'll be a range of exclusive merch designed with Mitchell and Ness. They're one of their fashion brands. And Eclectic makes it the world's greatest athletes spanning F1, basketball, US sports, football, memorabilia. Oh, in terms of memorabilia. Yeah. Limited edition products, product exclusives. Some of these to be unveiled during the grand opening. These exclusives are key to building engagement with the community. He notes, adding that the details will be revealed close to the launch. How do you feel about store exclusives, Enzo?
Yeah, I think it makes sense to do it. I want to say the Pokemon Center does the same thing, so it's that kind of a vibe, I think. Obviously, everyone that's not able to get into the store will be sad about that. But I do think if you're trying to drive reasons for people to visit the shop and reasons to kind of be there and the kind of benefit of getting to walk in and engaging with it, store exclusive makes sense. Yeah.
One of the biggest hurdles, he says, was working with the Crown Estate, which oversees the property on Regent Street. Okay, so this is approved by the Crown Estate. The royal family of Great Britain have said that they're in.
Yeah, you can do it.
They're buying into this. The Breaking Studio is a place for people to witness incredible pulls in real time. This adds theatre to the experience and draws in both collectors and casual visitors. In fairness, if a break was going on, you would go over and have a look and see what was happening.
Especially when they start screaming like lunatics. But I will say the first big hit and or product chase that comes out of that is going to be very negatively met by the general population, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it's a place for people to witness incredible pulls in real time. That to me is like a little bit of a red flag.
Yeah.
Because how do you know there's going to be incredible pulls?
Yeah, you could feasibly be there for 2 years and not hit a great pull with these print runs, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think eventually a huge card, and it'll probably be on opening day, to be honest, a huge card will be hit, and that's when everyone kind of goes, okay, come on.
Yeah.
Do you know, that's the problem. And that's like a problem you face when it is all under the same umbrella. You know, like it's it's the reason why people would suggest against doing stuff like this, do you know?
Yeah. And that's one thing that I admire about Fanatics is their kind of bullishness, and they're just saying like, no, just trust us. This is like...
Yeah. But they're also like, yeah, well, the amount of growth we're going to get from this in the hobby is worth the criticism we're going to get for, you know, the Polskins would have won being hit in the Fanatics Live shop. They won.
He says what he's personally excited about. The first time someone pulls an incredible card at our trading tables and celebrates, that's when I'll know we've done something special. Again, I don't think Simon's going to be as happy on that day as he may think.
Yeah, anyway at all. Yeah, but there's no winning in that scenario. You know, they've done an independent review on how to make sure nothing is a miss.
With the grand opening set for April 2025, Fanatics Collectibles London flagship store is set to redefine what a hobby shop can be. It's going to be the greatest trading card store in the world, Rosenberg promises. Based on what we've learned here at Topps Ripped, it's hard to argue otherwise.
But can I say, the fact that that's happening in London, like our side of the kind of world, is cool.
Yeah.
But
it is cool. Yeah.
This to me looks very much like Cards HQ.
Yes. 100%.
Like as much as they're saying that we've redefined it all, this looks like to be honest, Big Jeff redefined it all.
I think Jeff Wilson set a new bar for what a hobby shop looks like.
Yeah, and obviously it wasn't on the equivalent of Regent Street or whatever, so that does separate it again, this one.
Yeah.
But again, an infinite budget is needed to put something on Regent Street, and a kind of willingness to not even having to be profitable.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Look, I think it's going to be really good for the hobby. I think there's various things that those of us inside...
how many people are gonna in 12 months' time gonna have understanding of the hobby or have engaged with the hobby that they never would have otherwise unless that shop was kind of there on that street doing mad shit all the time? Do you know?
Yeah, and we may have various concerns, various queries or squabbles with it and how things work running it, etc., etc. And is it like, did Jeff Wilson kind of do this concept store first? How are we going to know if all the good pulls are coming out in the shop, whatever? But like, that is small potatoes, I suppose, compared to the growth
definitely
that this could deliver, especially in the European hobby.
And like, to be honest, you look at Pokemon Center, I don't know that deep enough. I don't know like the ins and outs of it, but I assume the Pokemon company is responsible for the physical Pokemon Center in Japan. Mm-hmm. And people complain about that. Like, no, it's, what I mean? It's kind of like, this is also a professionalizing of the whole thing. Once again, it's kind of like, we could let someone else open a shop here and kind of everyone is kind of at the mercy of how they decide to run their business, and if they have crazy prices, if they, whatever, if they're bad practice, weighing stuff, whatever the case may be. We're just pushing a boundary here, and we're just opening a professional store that's under our brand and in a crazy location. We're going to have crazy stuff going on all the time. And the main thing is obviously they're trying to make their sales, but they're trying to make their kind of lifetime sales by getting new people in the door, So I don't hate it. And to be honest, I look forward to visiting it. Like, it's in London, Jason. We're in London every second weekend, it feels like. So I'm looking forward to popping in. I don't know what, we could walk in and kind of go, this is a bit mental. Or we could kind of walk in and be like, this is great. Or we could walk in and go, yeah, this is a hobby shop. Like, this is kind of what we have on a bigger scale, on a grander scale. But it's probably, I've always wanted to visit Cards HQ. I feel like it'll be a similar vibe when we go in there.
Yeah. Although, I mean, and again, I can't believe I'm now defending Jeff Wilson.
Oh my God, here we go. The podcast, this is a big moment.
This is the first, I think. But I have, you watch videos of people going into Cards HQ or whatever, and Jeff is there himself. And obviously he's putting it on for the cameras or whatever if he's doing a piece of content there. But he does own the shop. He is there. He is kind of saying to people, are you being looked after? There is... I do think that this, as good as the team involved are, I'm sure, and all the staff that work there now will be extremely helpful and extremely knowledgeable or whatever. To me, there is just that thing of like, whose shop is this? Is this the shareholders of Fanatics have this shop here? Like, why would I ever want to give them my business if I could support an independent shop? Do you know what I mean? Like,
is that not the same vibe of just buying off the Topps website?
Well, I guess so. I would always encourage people to buy, if you have a product you want, maybe it's going to be on stockcardsunited.com. You don't have to buy directly off the Topps website. You could support one of your
support whoever has the cheapest price, Jason.
Yeah.
For the most part, not all the time.
Yeah. So we see, but also I wanted to say about, you might say, how could it be the greatest hobby shop in the world if it's only going to have top sports cards? But one of the things is that by doing this store, when the licenses come up for renewal again, let's say the 10-year licenses are deemed to be, in violation of antitrust laws, I'll throw that term around, and they come up for renewal in 4 or 5 years. If you can turn around to the leagues, to the brands, to the clubs, and say, well, look, we've sold all this stuff of yours, but also X amount of that has been sold in store, which means people are actually walking around, and we have like all these distribution channels through these physical shops that we built ourselves, that our competitors just can't offer and never were interested in doing.
And you also just say, like, we're getting your league brand and licenses in front of people on Regent Street, on wherever else they could expand to. Like, it's definitely a selling point. Like, why would you not? Like, we're doing events in store. We can just get your license, your athletes, your teams, your clubs coming in here and doing big things. And like, it's immediately a bonus. It's definitely it's a value add. We can host. If you want to release a new third kit, you can do it in store in Regent Street if you're like a London soccer club, and we can make a big fuss about it and make a big social media song and dance about it and whatever. And
if you want to do new, if you want to say you're Manchester United and things are a bit tight, you're taking all the sandwiches out of the canteen and you're firing the old lady at reception and all this kind of stuff. So you need to earn a few quid. If you want to say we're going to do a Legends game and then we're going to sell the jerseys, we can put those jerseys exclusively available in the Fanatics shop. And it's like, so it does feel like, I understand it. It just feels like, it's a huge move for them to be directly running their own shop. And I do think that the choice to open it in London is, in my eyes, partly because there's huge growth opportunities over this neck of the woods, but also I think it is away from the eyes of the US hobbies owners. Because when you look at what Fanatics are telling the hobby store owners day to day, on Rip Nights, etc., Michael Rubin is interviewed, it's all about, the hobby stores are our one and only, they're our foundations, them and breakers, and like we love them and all this kind of stuff. And if they were to be if the American store owners were to be completely conscious of this happening over here, I think you might find it to be slightly worrying. If you're
looking at the long term of it, and you'll be a bit scared.
Yeah, you'd be like, well, I'm Jason Sports Cards in Kansas City. What's to stop Fanatics just opening a shop here if it goes well in London? Um,
I don't know, Jason. I don't know. I don't have an answer. There is shops in London, by the way. So whether it's TCG shops or whether it's sports shops, they exist in London already. So obviously they're newer for the most part. They're not as well established long term, etc., etc. But again, that's kind of why I like them doing it on a large scale. But I am a bit concerned that almost Fanatics Fest plan wise, which was huge show here, and then all these little regional shows as well, because we're not going to leave money on the table.
Yeah.
There is a concern of being like, yeah, we'll just put a small one in Manchester. You know, a small version.
Yeah,
of
this
this
is
in
our
Manchester,
flagship one on Regent Street, and then it's like bing bang bosh. You know, I'm sure there's a flagship Apple store on Regent Street for the UK, and then there's smaller Apple stores, you know, whatever.
But like, we just have to wait and see. Do you know?
We have to
That's
wait
it.
and see. Yeah.
I know as an online retailer, Jason, yourself, it could be very scary, but it's a wait and see game. Ultimately, I think they have been good in engaging with everyone, even in Europe, etc., etc. But yeah, the long term plan, it does feel like, is complete global domination. But like that's it. Like I don't think they've ever shied away from that. You know?
No,
That's
I
been
know.
the plan. We're going to do everything. I think
we're
they
gonna do
mentioned that they
everything,
wanted
and we're
to
gonna do the
grade
best
as well when they first got in. Whether or not they're going to do that or not, I don't know. But it's always been we're going to do it all.
Yeah, and I suppose it's kind of like one of those things where there's a temptation every time they move a little bit forward with the plans for global domination. People go a little bit forward, go a little bit further in how much they're willing to accept, and then it's like, and you kind of and things
Before you know it,
before you know it, like you're all, guess what? You know,
it's too late. That's just
too
one of
late.
those. It's too late.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's going to be repacks being sold on the Fanatics Live little section within the Regent Street store that are Fanatics repacks, Fanatics, and it's already too far, Jason. You just kind of have to vibe it out and see how it's all going to go. We've never seen anything like this in the hobby before, and
Certainly not. No,
I feel all of the concerns. That's the thing. It's like all of the kind of potential negativity you have is always then backed up by them doing something kind of exceptional that's hard to argue with. You know, it's kind of like, yeah, but like we're after doing this thing with an athlete, and then we're spotting. We have Tom Brady literally everywhere. He'll probably be in London, most of the year next year.
Well, that's it. It's like it is good. That's the
buyback program. We don't really understand that over here in Europe because it hasn't really like taken effect. But like the buyback MVB buyback program, whatever, you're kind of bringing in base cards and you get store credit, and Fanatics subsidize that whole thing. Definitely a stimulator in hobby shops. Hobby Rip Nights have been successful, and they have been over here, and they're, so there's all the good things they do as well. And then in the background, they're like, but we want to own everything.
Yeah, because I guess the thing is,
anyway,
this is why
sponsoring every single card show in Europe, top to bottom, but then also they're doing Fanatics Fest, and you're kind of like, is this good or bad? I don't know. And then Fanatics Fest on a different level, so you're like, it's kind of fine. So it's give and take. I think they are taking over at a very kind of. It's like I'm not sure. It's like this is what it feels like. It's a president who, it's like, right, you've done your 8-year term and you're being reelected again, which fundamentally is a red flag. But while you were in your 8-year term, you've done a good job. So I don't really know if I'm against it or with it. But I also, is this a dictatorship? I'm not sure.
It is that theory of benevolent dictatorship. It's like, yeah, he's a dictator, but for now it's good. I mean, like you do have that thing. I mean, I'm sure there's economists listening who are like, come on. But like monopolies are bad because they stifle competition. And it's like, yeah, if you were trying to form a monopoly, you would be doing all the right things while forming the monopoly. That's kind of the problem with monopolies, is they're good until they're not. Like once, obviously you have to compete to form the monopoly, but once that monopoly is formed, at that point, why ever innovate again?
Yeah, and then also it's like once you have all of the cards in your hand, now the game is yours. You do what you want, and you can change it. And that's when it gets bad. There's no pushback once you're already dominating everything. When there's no hobby shops left and they're just Fanatic stores, and then things get crazy, it's like no one can do anything about it at that stage.
Yeah. Well, look. Anyway, we'll that's all very doom and gloom. In the meantime, we're excited to go in April at some point.
I don't want to. I'm not in favor or against this. Fundamentally, I think it's going to be great. That's kind of my feeling. But there is, like, no matter what they do, and I think that's the thing, as you said, you're impressed that they just keep doing it regardless. Like, no matter what they do, no matter how, like, Instant Rips, which was a repack, fundamentally they improved the quality of it all with the fact that the cards are in the vault and but then you kind of, like, they own the vault as well. But it's like fundamentally what they're doing is they're kind of killing it in a great way. But there is, no matter what, there is this also feeling of like, yeah, but like, what the hell, like.
Yeah, but where does this all? What is the logical endpoint of all this?
Like, fundamentally, everything is is the hobby being improved? I think it is. In some regards, I think unlicensed products have been the worst part of their entire thing. The unlicensed has been as bad as it got. But yeah, I don't know. I think I think fundamentally this shop will lead to another one. That's my in Europe somewhere. Whether it's Germany, France, I don't know, but I do see that coming. And ultimately one in the United States, because if the two of these go well, why would you not set one up in the hobby kind of hub?
Yeah. You bring it back. You bring it back to the homeland.
New York City, like they have their offices there, etc., etc. But yeah, look,
I mean, that's let's face it, that's
happening.
That's happening. That's coming.
Yeah,
that must be. Yeah,
it's kind of like Bleecker Street. It's like, oh guys,
yeah.
Oh no.
Right. Look, I don't. We won't spend any more time on this, but people can. I think this is exciting in a.
From a European point of view, it's great. They've expanded the hobby in Europe to a point. Like, it would take a very long time before a shop similar to Jeff Wilson's is set up in Europe.
Oh, 100%.
Particularly in a place that's easy to get to. Easier to try and do that somewhere that's kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see it. I'm very excited to kind of make that trip over to visit it once it is open.
Yes, I agree. Okay, let's take a short break. All right, Enzo, this is Sports Collectors Daily. This is Rich Mueller, and this is Paul Skeens.
This is a hobby classic, by the way.
Yeah. This is like a big card sale. Sports Collectors Daily have to report on it. Someone says, Rich, do you want me to do it? Rich says, no, I've got this one, because the Paul Skeens debut patch autograph card sells for over $1.1 million in a Fanatics Collect auction late on Thursday night. Woof. Incredible stuff. It was the most expensive Paul Skeens card ever, as you can imagine. One of the most expensive newly created sports card ever sold, with a pack to sale time of 4 months.
Less than 4 months, Jason.
Of less than 4 months.
Come on.
That is crazy. So this gets packed, released, pulled, graded, and sold in less than 4 months, and it's $1.1 million. I mean, that's mental. Among active Major League Baseball players, and again, I'm not really sure how significant that field is, only Mike Trout has had a card go for more than this. So this is better than Shohei Ohtani's record sale, who is the other baseball player that I know.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, according to Fanatics, the card was consigned by an 11-year-old boy and his family who live in Southern California. The youngster had pulled the card from a box of 2024 Topps Chrome Update that was purchased in December of last year, not long after the product was released. It graded a 10/10.
That was the diary entry child.
That was the diary entry child. Yeah. So it's I actually, so it was printed, packed, pulled, written about in the diary, graded, so in less than 4 months. It's the fourth 7-figure sports card to have sold so far in 2025. That's good for the market, I feel like. That's a healthy.
I think so.
That's a healthy number. It was turned into one of more than 250 MLB debut patches. I should say that our friend Anthony at Breaking the Law wrote in to answer our question about how many debut patches were issued. 251.
Right. And there you are. Rich Mueller knew that. He didn't need to ask.
Didn't need to ask. So, yes. Basically, I just thought this was interesting. Number one, because it's a huge hobby sale. And number two, because we were kind of oohing and ahhing at all the Lamine Yamal sales on the last episode. His superfractors going for,
We've put in a box we have by the great Major League Baseball.
You can add up all those superfractors. And it will
there's a lot of them.
And there's a lot of them.
Neck and neck with this. The I like it from the point of view of the debut patch getting a huge debut patch of a hot rookie, quote unquote, getting a huge sale, because I do think that is one of the coolest kind of innovations that have been done since the kind of takeover. Game use MLB debut patch. I love it. I'm hoping we see it in soccer. I know we have it in MLS. I'm hoping we see a rookie with it in soccer, in Champions League, Premier League, whatever the case may be, Bundesliga, if we can go there.
Yeah,
brighten up the Bundesliga products. I like it.
I actually wanted to mention again, and I think we've talked about this before on the show, but I would like, as part of the Premier League license, I would like a Topps Chrome Premier League update set added to the calendar.
Wow.
This is maybe controversial, but I would love to have like Topps Chrome come out basically before the season starts, or just as the season is starting, and then have a post-January transfer window update set with a much shorter print run come out. So if anyone's listening, that's something that I would like.
Free gold.
Jason would like that. So maybe think about printing 10,000 boxes. So yeah, that's interesting. The Fanatics is donating its proceeds from the auction to fund fire relief efforts in Los Angeles. That's nice. The boy and his family had been among those forced to evacuate during the recent blazes in Southern California. Let's see. Wasn't the only MLB debut patch. The 101 sleeve patch worn by Baltimore Orioles rookie Jackson Holliday was sold for just under $200,000. Other sales included the 101 23-24 Panini National Treasures NBA Logo Man patch that sold for $528,000, despite not having the signature of the San Antonio Spurs star who was under contract to Fanatics. So I guess it's Victor Wembanyama. I'm not sure why his name isn't mentioned there.
You don't need to mention him.
No, that's how you know you're big.
That's right.
Other news around the hobby ends. You were telling me, or showing me rather, this new eBay feature involving PSA pop reports.
Yep. So I think this might just be on the US eBay to begin with, because they tend to kind of get stuff first. But from now on US eBay, at least probably on all eBays, because they are fast enough to change it. When you find a graded card on eBay, you can click and look into the population report, maybe even the sales data. I'm not sure, but at least the population report, which I do think helps. It's nice to have it kind of built in. It kind of furthers the ties of eBay as a collectibles marketplace, I think.
Yes. eBay, and there's
and also further PSA's position again. As just like, it's PSA. If you go into BGS, you're not getting that, and you won't for a very long time.
No, because also now eBay have some sort of
the
integration with the PSA Vault, and there's all sorts of things happening. So, I mean, PSA, I feel, are just. I was talking to somebody about this in terms of grading companies coming to Europe, and I do think a lot of the stuff that PSA are doing now is stuff that we've been waiting for in the hobby for a long time. And it seemed like it was not happening for years, and now it's all happening very quickly.
Yeah, all together, all at once.
Kind of like between the instant recognition of the card by the app, coming to Europe, all this kind of stuff. It feels like maybe it took them some time to build up all these features, and they decided to roll them out in the space of a few months.
I have two things to say, Jason. I recently did a PSA submission, and always with PSA in recent times, when you go to fill out a card, you start typing the card in, and they do automatically pop up like the exact card you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if anyone in the past has graded that exact card, they will actually show you an image of the card as well. And it's like a little image that you hover over and it gets bigger. So like I was grading a few cards that I was not familiar with, and some parallels that I didn't know the name of the parallel. So I was like typing in the set, typing in the player. And then because a certain parallel had been graded before, I was able to look at it. I zoomed on it. It went bigger. And I could see the serial number because now they're on the front, thank God. So I was able to verify my thing was the same based on what the serial number was and obviously the appearance of the card. That was incredible. And I will say, I'm living for the day they integrate that into eBay. Why do I have to type out every single part of my card when it's part of a set checklist, a finite number of potential possibilities? Why can't it just pop up on eBay when I'm typing it? But these kind of connections that are happening, I do think it's a matter of time.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time. And like, I suppose all these PSA features that have been rolling out does indicate that they are working on this stuff in the background, and that maybe a lot of these companies are just kind of very large, very slow moving, and like. But you're right. I mean, that kind of thing of how does eBay, there are only so many cards. Why are we still
able to mistype a player's name? You shouldn't be able to.
Yeah, but you do imagine that sort of stuff is.
Future looks nice. The future of the collectors is going to be a nice time. We'll be old Jason going, back in my time you had to type out the full name.
You had to type the exact name.
And it didn't fit, and you're writing red lava unnumbered question from Chrome Light or something, and it didn't even fit, so you had to kind of write you couldn't write rookie card, you had to write RC. It was terrible.
You're writing cracked ice, even though that's like really a Panini thing. Also, I just wanted to point out that GameStop are apparently crossing their 1 millionth PSA card submission.
Congratulations to PSA again.
Yeah, they win again. To do that, to celebrate the 1 million cards, they were if you submit your cards the weekend just passed, you got a free penny sleeve and card saver. Plus, the collector who submits the millionth card will score a free year of PSA grading.
Imagine, I would sell that out to everyone. I'd be saying, listen, give me your cards. It's $10. I'll grade
a free year of grading is legitimately a fantastic prize.
There has to be a limit, by the way, to that, and it's incredible.
So GameStop, I was doing some research on them just to see like where are they at, and most recently, in the last year, they've cut about a quarter of their locations around the world.
Right.
So they're downsizing. 10 years ago, there were this is not really sports cards related, but I'll just tell you anyway. 10 years ago, there were 6,000 GameStops around the world. There are now just over 3,000.
Wow. None in Ireland. Well, none in Dublin anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, I think they're all gone from Ireland, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
Canada and Australia as well have suffered some GameStop losses, apparently. So, and they're putting a lot of their cash, I think, into Bitcoin. So it's Bitcoin and PSA submissions for GameStop.
Listen, we should start to alter our kind of operational, Jason, where we put our money. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, if GameStop are going to Bitcoin, we'll follow on. So yeah, that's a little kind of tour around the hobby. We have some corrections and comments and any other business next.
And now, gentlemen, is there any other business?
Enzo, before I launch into these, do you have any other business you'd like to mention?
Not to the top of my head, Jason. I don't think so.
Okay, well
I think I'm good. I think I'm up to date. I think I'm excited for my AC Milan 125 box. That's the only other update. This is starting to ship. So you're going to start seeing a lot of fun. I need to get this on the website, actually.
Well, some people were kind and they mentioned that they appreciated the women's soccer talk. Somebody said, I appreciate the review of Becca actually said that I appreciate the review of women's soccer cards you guys incorporate into the episode. This is for the last episode. My young daughters love soccer and I see how excited they get when women footballers are given attention through cards or otherwise. So that's just a nice little thing. GV, large scale breaker, one of the great breakers, says that 23-24 Women's Champions League Chrome, he's posting up his 53rd case tomorrow. Nice. We've gone through 53 cases of Women's Champions League Chrome over on GV. As long as it's priced where it needs to be and not at men's prices, product will move. I love opening it up.
Yeah, so, happy days. We have that as well with the Sapphire. Obviously, the Sapphire was juiced that year. Just gone. That's one of the best products to open just because it wasn't that expensive and there's hits galore within it.
Yep, 100%. Nishi writes in to say Aoba Fujino did have a base card. One of the two players, I believe, we talked about having potentially having a base card. And the first one I checked didn't. And then I thought the second one must not either. But she did. So there's a 2-year gap between her Panini World Cup rookie and her Topps rookie in the latest knockout. Just on women's, somebody else, Mark. Mark said, really appreciate the women's soccer discussion. First of all, there was no UWCL knockout last season, which is disappointing for us because it would have contained Ajax. Marcus from the Netherlands. Totally agree with print run. I think women's cards are nice for younger generation even more than with men. So lower the print run and put lots more color in the chrome boxes. My daughter loves every numbered card. A pink of 299, fantastic. Shorten the print run and more color is his advice for the product. But then this is the really interesting bit of Mark's message, I thought, about combining it with men. I think breakers should separate them more. Just do a women's card spot. A male Barcelona collector doesn't care that much about a Fridolin or Rolfo autograph, so just make them a separate spot so you can lower the price for the male Barcelona spot. That would be my thinking. I hadn't considered that. Obviously, not everyone's breaking, so we're just opening the boxes. But what do you think about that as an idea?
Yeah, I like it. Pull out.
It's practical. It makes more sense, doesn't it? Because I do feel like women's collectors are more likely to appreciate a hit of a women's card even more than some of the fans.
They'll chase it. That's it. They'll chase it. They'll be looking for that spot and then they'll just buy it. So
yeah. And then just finally, Mark says on pricing, understand what you mean with a box of €300. How can a box of €300? I can buy almost every women's card I want for 100 to 150 euros. Only Putellas low numbered autographs will cost you much more than that. But I just bought a Putellas of 5 non-auto for 85 euros. So what's the box being worth 300 euros? So that explains why the prices are maybe low. The other thing we were talking about on the last show was the auto versus non-auto superfractal aluminium alum.
Oh my God.
We did a poll on Instagram that was 60-40 more or less in favor of the non-auto.
Okay. That was like someone said to me, you're not opening Topps Chrome for the auto. And I love that because we've said that before, I think, with Prism. Yeah. That these are not sets for autos, but for some reason it's kind of got lost along the way. I don't know why. But I still don't know which one I actually want, but I do respect just the standard auto. When I think of like World Cup Prism, you want the black Prism. You don't want the black Prism. I mean, you want both of them, but you know what I mean?
Both, yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Kevin said on that he is still from the old school of Beckett, where the card that's numbered as part of the base set is the rookie card, and that takes priority over whether there is an auto or not. And then in parentheses, which I thought was really interesting, because there used to be some sets that the auto was part of the base set.
Fascinating.
So that's an idea. Let me see. Some other people gave feedback. Man City Collector. My mindset, not necessarily the mainstream, but the Superfractor auto is that the features of the card make it valuable to collectors, not the auto, because Chrome cards are more aesthetically pleasing without an auto, and you could get an identical autograph on thousands of cards. The sticker auto, that was very, very common feedback, was, as you said on the episode itself, if it's a sticker, what does it really matter?
It's in the way of the card in that case, to a degree.
Yeah. If I was choosing to buy a high-end Lamine auto, I would choose a card designed to be autographed that was inherently more aesthetically pleasing on-card auto, i.e. wait for a game-used Dynasty card. To each their own, though. Some people prefer a Whopper to foie gras. So that kind of makes sense as well. Like you're saying, Prism, Chrome, these are not autograph-centered sets. There are sets for that type of thing. But I think it's soccer as well, where maybe less discerning on that. I think soccer, especially at card shows and stuff, soccer collectors love autographs. That, and for people, because that's kind of, we always have had collectibles, whether stickers or various trading cards or whatever, but the autographs are an instant
improvement. Kind of, this is different.
Yeah, a differentiator. So I think in soccer, especially in the European hobby, we're mad into our autographs and less maybe into like what the old rules are from the Beckett days, etc., etc. Yeah, like somebody there says, I want the auto these days, but I agree. My head tells me the non-auto is the one I should want more. So that's just some kind of interesting feedback, I thought, from people. I don't think I have anything else.
Oh, that might be us, Jason. That might be us for episode, what, 273?
Right? 274 now.
So sorry, 274.
So we're back next week. You can check out soccercardsunited.com, where Enzo has just teased that there might be some AC Milan 125th if he doesn't open them all in the meantime.
I'm going to definitely open some.
Have a good weekend, everyone, and we will talk to you for episode 275 next week.